And so I don't know. I just, time will tell. I do not think that Trump will give us I don't think we're going to get another 4 years from Trump. I don't think they're going to let it happen. I
Okay.
think what happened in the swing states this last 2022, what happened during 2020 election, they're not going to give that man another 4 years because he's so into exposing both sides. He doesn't play
Mm-hmm.
nice. He doesn't have boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
He can't be bought. And that's the thing about Ron DeSantis. He's got a ton of corporate funding. You got to look at his record when he was for 5 years as a congressman. People aren't even looking into his record. He does very much go along with whatever the establishment wants. He does. He's
Mm-hmm.
not. He was not a splash making congressman. He
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like going. He was in Congress during Obama even and wasn't making a splash. And then all of a sudden, he's a governor down here. Did a great job. It's great things in Florida. But there were some governors that didn't shut down at all. They didn't shut down.
Expressions of
Greetings, people of the world. I am your host, Soul Expression. Welcome back to the Expression of Love podcast. I hope you are having a wonderful day. And today, I am having a wonderful day myself because I am here to introduce you to round two of an interview with none other than Kali Fontanilla. If you do not remember, Kali Fontanilla is a former public school teacher of 15 years. She is the founder of Exodus Institute, a K through 12 fully accredited online school for parents who are fed up with the brainwashing public school system. You can get more information on that at thinkexodus.org. That's thinkexodus.org. And this conversation was powerful. And I mean, there's a reason why this is the first person I've brought back onto my show. And so timely is this return, right? With all of these Twitter files coming out and everything that's, being expressed by both the left and the right. Of course, I am right-leaning myself. But I'm not a Republican. I am a conservative. I think the same could be said about Kali. In fact, that she said that same thing. She said she said she's more of a Trump supporter than a Trump fan, excuse me, than a fan of the GOP, the grand old party, the Republican Party. So anyway, I really know and believe and hope that you enjoy this conversation and get something from it. You may even want to take notes and start spreading some of the truth that you get from this conversation. No more spoilers. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. First, like and subscribe if you have not already had the chance. Look forward to the expression of love portion and comment below your thoughts as the conversation progresses. See you on the other side. 2, 1. What's up, wide world, and welcome back to the Expression of Love podcast. Thank you so very much for rocking out with me, with us, with you, because if you're here, then obviously you care about yourself and your own development. I'm very happy. I'm very happy. This is the first time in my podcast's history, short history, that I have a return guest. So everybody help me help me bring back to the Expression of Love space, Kali Fontanilla. What's up, Kali?
Hi. I consider you a friend now, so it's kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah,
just going
yeah.
on this is like, it's
Low key, I feel like a
friends
mentee.
talking. Yeah.
I feel like a mentee, like you've been kind of aiding my what I don't see and what I don't know how to navigate. You'll say, hey, do this. I'm like, all right, well, let's try it out, and then it works. It's like, yes, thank you.
I love your voice. I just think we need more people that are free thinkers that aren't just going to go along with either side and really just come with love, with like, which is what you're doing. And I've been liking your voice since the moment I first we started connecting. So
Right.
I'm happy to be
Well,
here.
humbles me, so very much. Really appreciate it. Again, when we first connected, I was already a big fan of yours. I loved your characters, your Luna, and you had 2 characters then. Now you have like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Most recently is what's his name? Jordan or
Oh yeah. So I got banned. Those videos are getting banned on TikTok too.
oh
They're
man.
getting taken down. So I'm
It's
doing
their
like
filter, isn't it?
day one of being a dude, day two of being a dude, and basically I put on a beard and honestly, I could really be transitioning. It's not like I'm openly saying I'm mocking him. I could really be gender fluid and experimenting with my gender. And it's pretty messed up that they're saying that it's, hate speech when I mean, I'm not allowed to experiment with my gender, but Dylan is. So
You're not only are you not allowed, but the Colorado gay club shooter is also not allowed.
wow. Yeah,
Have
that's
you heard
crazy.
about that? They switched up.
Yes.
They actually had a trans woman come on, and what he said
Yes.
was he was like, well, you can tell by looking that that's not a
Yep.
non-binary person. And
Yep.
it's like, well, hold up, wait a
Exactly.
minute now.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yes.
Wait just a minute. If
Yeah.
you can tell by looking, hold on, because I can tell by looking that you're not a woman. But wait.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's rules for thee, but not for I mean rules for thee, but not for
Not for
me. And
me.
it's
Yep.
getting really old.
So as I was saying, you're super duper appreciated, really for two reasons. One of them is your practical and logical approach to pro-Americanism, and I'll just call it that for simplicity. Not that I don't think that's really a thing, but your pro-Americanism touched me in a way that I am now proud of who I am, and even my blackness, and in certain ways, because it gave me a non-anti-American way to appreciate that I
Mm,
have a subgroup that doesn't encompass my entire reality and
mm.
entire identity, but it does give me some more context and something to hold and something to cherish. So I really appreciate you for that. And the second reason is you are out here fighting for our children in not just grassroots way and not just organizationally, but both. You're out here talking with people, you're out here talking to people via your social media, and you have started a school that doesn't only focus on ABCs and one, two, threes, but it also, for the, I guess, the higher grades, says, and here's the bullshit that you'll hear in the world. Here's what you'll hear on CBS, ABC News, CNN,
Mhm,
and here is how to critically think about that for yourself. Here's some
mhm.
resources to check out, and here's some counter arguments, some quick counter arguments that you can memorize in case you find yourself, let's say, on a college campus having to have these discussions and arguments. And that is super appreciated. That is like the number one thing that I'm like really, really, really happy that I know you for. So can you tell us about Think Exodus, and just tell us about the journey of creating it, what it's been like, and what you really hope to change the world, how you want to change the world with it.
Well, like I said, there's a lack of truth right now. And these kids are being taught a lot of lies about our country, or they're just being taught revisionist history. No country is perfect in its history. That's for sure. I'm not trying to say America was just we're not China where we just give straight propaganda to our kids. But there are a lot of great things about our founding and things that are unique about America and opportunities here that didn't even exist until this country came into fruition
Right.
fruition fruition fruition
Fruition. Right.
fruition there we go. So this country came, and I just think that there's this real agenda to, I feel like Black America finally has the America we deserve.
Hmm.
We're finally in a place where we really can make a name for ourselves, and we really can rise above the muck and the history that has been there is some bad history here with Black America, but we can rise above it. And now they're trying to bring us back down again.
Yeah.
And that just really, do you know 60% of my students are Black and Mexican?
Okay.
And most of them are
Okay.
from California, because
Mm.
Black parents do not want their kids to be taught that they're victims from these teachers claiming their white privilege in the
Right.
class, which I've
Right.
seen. I see these teachers, and what it does is it creates a lot of anger in young people. And I remember what it was like to be an angry young person and to think that the world is
Yeah.
against me. It is crippling, crippling. You have to have a positive mindset to make it in this world, because there is so much negativity. If you're constantly looking for racism, you're going to find it. If you're constantly looking for jerky people and people to bring you down, it's going to happen. It's just, you have to have a more positive mindset in order to make it in this country, because it is that's just the reality of humanity.
Right.
And we just have, and so my school is definitely there to help empower our students. And one of like some of the lessons we give, I have a whole lesson on George Washington Carver.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing man.
Mm-hmm.
And his inventions were great, but also his character was incredible. He could
Yep.
go into a room full of white supremacists, like guys in the South that like are scary, good old boy white supremacists, and flip that whole room to love him. And it was just like, and it was with his character. He had this, he was just, he was a really amazing man. And there's so many things we can learn from him. And I don't think that this new rhetoric that's coming out with Black, I don't think it's new, but this like angry at white man, and I'm going to cuss out white man, I'm going to bring
Mm-hmm.
down white man. I don't think that's changing anybody into being a non-racist that you
Right.
want. It's not. It's
Right.
just hardening people's hearts.
Well,
It really
and
is.
it's like you said, Kali, there's a clear agenda with it. And as somebody else I admire greatly, Dennis Prager, said, the chaos is the point. It's not for some grandiose, you know, there are people out there that we could call like globalists, New World Order, you know, people, Illuminatis, whatever. There are shadow governments out there, but the in terms of like leftism itself as a religion, the chaos is the point. That's it.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
straight up the Joker from The Dark Knight.
Mhm.
Heath Ledger. You know, the darkness is the point. I'm a dog chasing cars.
Yeah. Yep. 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 And I think that's what they want to produce in our young people. And we see it in their characters. This whole new rise of all these Antifa kids, they're all under, like, they're all between like
Yep.
under 35, 20s. That's a new generation of really angry, really warped in their minds. They have like mental health issues. If you look at the like during the Black Lives Matter protests, when a lot of Antifa kids were involved in that, if you look at like the mug shots, they all look like they belong in an insane asylum. You know, they just don't look right. And I see, what I see is I see children. I see children that are lost. I wish they were able to get some of the lessons from my school when they
Yeah.
were in like fifth and sixth grade,
Yeah.
instead of turning into these monsters that think that burning stuff down and spitting on people is going to somehow create some great
And
revolution.
adopting socialism and communism.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you have
Exactly.
no idea what you're advocating.
No. And why would they want to put more money into the hands of a corrupt government? Like, that's so stupid. Like, Bernie Sanders wanted an 8% tax hike on the middle class to bring in universal health care and have our, so you, what I don't get is these people are saying that the American government is racist and corrupt, yet they want to give more money to the racist and corrupt American
Right.
government.
And you
Like, come
want to
on now.
expand that
Like,
government.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's like the in all due respect, right? Another human being, but it's like the transgender person talking about, oh no, I can tell by looking. That's not a real non-black.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
it
yeah,
don't the square doesn't go in the
yeah,
circle. Okay.
yep, yep.
Staying on the subject of our children, our meaning American children, you just released a new documentary with PragerU entitled "The Biggest Bully in School," highlighting our wonderful, illustrious teacher unions
Mhm.
that we have here.
Yeah.
Of course, I say that sarcastically. Can you tell us a little bit about the process of making the movie before you get into the content and the purpose? How was that process, like making that movie, working with PragerU, doing the interviews, finding people? How was that?
Oh man, it was definitely outside my comfort zone. I'll say that. Like, I was very nervous, but the very first dude I interviewed, he was so professional, knew his stuff, that I was like, oh, interviewing people is actually the easier side of things than being the interviewee. um, and PragerU is very professional. They just do things very, they've been around for a while. There's some of these new organizations, I'll call them out, like Daily Wire and Turning Point. And even though I'm involved with them somewhat, they're a lot more into it for the money. And I hate to say that, especially Daily Wire. They're into it. They get their monthly subscribers, and they're really pushing. But PragerU has been giving free content for over 10 years now. And they were doing it before it was cool. Because I do think that we're kind of the new punk rock to not be into all this leftist stuff, because that's very like mainstream now.
Right.
And so we're like the new rebels. Like, they're not rebels. Like, you're not a rebel if you go get a bull ring. Like, you're not like that used to be kind of like, oh wow, you have a septum piercing, that's so unique. And now it's like, oh wow, like just another one of those.
Yep.
But you're an angry feminist with a septum piercing. Ooh, so unique. But I'm like, so yeah, they've been around for a while. I think their intentions are really good. I think their intentions are really just to educate. And I'm all about, I think education, like true education where you're learning the truth, is so important. And so doing this documentary was important to me because I was a public school teacher for 15 years and I never joined the unions because I knew they were a corrupt organization. I did not want to give them my money, even when I was on the left.
Mm-hmm. And so let's go ahead and talk about it. Hmm. Well, you just said something too. You said you already knew that they were a corrupt organization. How did you know from a teacher's perspective? Because I feel like a lot of people that end up in, let's say, corrupt unions, or let's say partially corrupt, right? Where some people at the top may be corrupt, but the majority of people really just don't know. Get duped. They get duped into it. They have nice PR, and so they get duped into it. How did you see through the veil yourself, and then what's important to know for teachers out there?
Well, I saw through the veil when when the union goes to back these teachers that have done awful things to children. And so, like, for example, um, in my district, there was my former district, not the one I just worked at, but there was a teacher that was having fifth graders sit on his lap. He was a male teacher and he had girls sitting on his lap. And he was always, you can always tell the teachers that are creeps because they are too close with their students. They're like talking about their students, about their boyfriends and their girlfriends and stuff like that. Like acting like the teachers that want to be friends with the
Yeah,
kids, like that is not appropriate. Adults are supposed to be, they're supposed to mentor the kids, they're supposed to protect the kids, but they're not there to be their friend and cool to the kid, and
yeah,
especially in a way that's like inappropriate. Like, I'm talking with these girls about their boyfriends and stuff like that.
yeah.
I remember being in the cafeteria with this teacher, and we were all, it was some sort of event, and there was this gaggle of girls around him, and they were just like talking about their boyfriends, and like, just, it was really weird. And I was like, dude, this is what's happening even in the open. I wonder what kind of conversations he's having with these kids, when he's in his own class. And it turns out he's letting the kids sit on the laps of the kids, of letting the girls sit on his laps, and on his lap. And guess who protected him when it
The
all
teachers union.
came out? The teachers union. And that happens over and over again. I had a friend who was also a teacher, and she was being sexually harassed by another teacher. She's a very beautiful Black woman, and she was getting like all these, he was married, and he was sending her all of these like, when are we going to go out? My wife is gone, blah, blah, blah. She went and contacted the union, like, this dude's sexually harassing me. And the union protected him and went after her and got her fired because he's been in the district for 30 years and he's a big union guy. So I saw the signs that the unions aren't good. The teachers union is not.
Wait, Kali,
Yeah.
hold on. She had the receipts of
Yes. She had the receipts.
my wife is gone.
Yes.
And what do they call it? What does HR call it? Advances, right?
Yes.
Advances were being put in her message box, in her inbox, from a married man, and she got fired.
Yeah. Yeah.
How powerful are these teacher unions?
So I don't know the behind the scenes of how but they do work in cahoots with the administration, especially some, because the administration's who fires, not the teachers union.
Right, because
But
I'm
in
like,
my
they can't
district,
fire her directly, so how
yeah,
does that
in
happen?
my district, the teachers union and the administration were like this. I think there was a lot of like misuse of funds, all kinds of, and there's a lot of stuff. People that say our schools need more money, they do not need more money. If you look at a school's budget and how much they're spending on our nation's children, it's a lot. There's a lot of misuse of funding. And so, yeah, it's a corrupt system. And it's funny because when the Black Lives Matter first got hot, right? And some of these cases, I will say, 1 in 10 of their cases are actually like, when they are upset about something, okay, there was something the cops did that was wrong. why aren't they calling out the unions? Because a lot of times it's the police union that's protecting the cop that should have not been on the job anymore.
Right.
And that's
Right.
instead, Black Lives Matter goes after the whole cop system and it's just like, oh, police are bad, so therefore we're going to throw bricks at police, and we're even involved in this stuff that are trying to protect small businesses, as opposed to making sure that these individual cops or these individual teachers are being held accountable. So yeah, the union system has so many flaws. So making this documentary was like really full circle for me. I was like, okay, I'm glad I get to expose them, because I've been seeing how bad they are this whole 15 years I've been a teacher.
Right. And then, I mean, and then you find out the $200 million and the $95 million given to places like Planned Parenthood and other super leftist organizations, to make it simple. And it's like, smells like China. No.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. But luckily we have, first of all, shout out to good teachers in the United States. Shout out to you if you are a good teacher, even if you are unionized. If you're good, then shout out to you. But also that we have people like you who are like, okay, pull your kids from public school if you have the means to do so. Here's an accredited alternative called Think Exodus. Let's talk. Let's hear about that. What's Think Exodus?
Yeah, so it's Exodus Institute. So you can go to thinkexodus.org. That's our website. Exodus Institute. It's a K through 12, fully accredited school that doesn't have any woke agendas with it, and it's nationally accredited. And then I also have an enrichment program that's only $20 a month. So that's for parents that want to supplement their child's education. So let's say their kid's already in school, or they're already doing a homeschool program, but they want to add lessons that are on demand by me. That's only $20 a month. And we wanted to keep that low cost for parents because it's so important. I just did a lesson on what happened in Venezuela with their socialism and with the inflation. And I already had a couple kids turn the lessons. So it makes me so happy to see they're getting their work done, and they're turning in the work, and they're enjoying the lessons. In fact, my friend who just put his daughter in, he says that she actually asks to do the lessons, and she tells them, oh, I got to turn this sheet in. Will you help me turn this sheet in? Because I have them scan their sheets in. So she has to tell her parents to help her to turn in the lessons. And he's like, I've never had her do that before. So it's been it's like the best part of what I do right now is to see these kids waking up.
Because kids can tell. I could tell when I was in school, I am never going to use this information. And I don't just mean like pre-cal, right? I don't just mean high school. I mean, the way that history, it's 1,000, 5,000 times worse now than even when I was in school, and I'm only 31.
Yeah.
But basically, the way history is taught, it's like, here was this war, here was the time of the war, and here was the name of a couple generals in this war. Yep. Next war.
Yes.
Nothing interesting. I'm like, what do I do? And then the state test would come out, and you have to know the name of a couple generals, a couple dates of this war and that war and that war. And other than that, reading comprehension and math is all you really need. And I was like, man, this is stupid.
Yeah.
I wasn't rebelling against it until college, but I knew I was, and my dad knew. My dad was like, yeah, I mean, it's some bullshit, it's some BS, but don't fail, get through the thing, get your piece of paper, but it is BS. So he knew, and I didn't grow up with my dad. I didn't grow up with either of my biological parents. So, thank God that I didn't let my anger issues take me down the wrong roads. But he knew, and I knew. I would say by at least 7th grade, this is boring. The teachers also, some of them are all right, but they kind of suck too.
Yep.
The administrators don't give a damn. They don't give a damn with their nice watches. They don't give a damn.
Yep.
Okay. Another thing that you said, I want to move on because I don't know exactly how much time you have, but I do want to get to this other big thing, which is why I contacted you to come back on the show, which is you've had a tremendous political journey in your own life, right? There's a statement that I think I heard from Candace Owens. It might have been somebody else that said if you don't start off on the left, you don't have a heart, but if you don't finish on the right, you don't have a brain.
Yeah, it's kind of an old school statement. That's been around for a while. That's been around
Yeah,
since like,
no, I
yeah,
think I heard it
yeah, exactly. Yes, yes.
and both me and you started on, I guess, started on the left because we have a
Mhm.
heart, and we're like,
Yes.
yes,
Help feel,
government,
yeah, yeah.
provide for people, you stupid,
Uh-huh.
you know.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
then you realize that, oh, okay, no. So freedom comes with responsibility, but that responsibility makes you a good person.
Yeah.
Maybe freedom instead of you need to provide for me
Yes.
is the way
Yes.
to go. And even with Trump specifically, you had a bit of a journey with that. So first things first, let's get a glimpse into Kali's switch from one side to not voting at all to, I guess, finally being a little more politically active with the elected official side. How was
Yeah,
that?
the best way to put it is, I guess I'm more, I am more in, I'm more of a fan of Trump than I am of the GOP, that's for sure. I did not start voting for the right to vote for like the Mitch McConnells. So let's remember Obama Obama's second term, who did he run against? Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan. Like those two guys are like corporate funded pigs. I'm just going to say that. Like they're not that great. Like the GOP, like the real, like, okay, for example, Mitch McConnell didn't fund and he sabotaged some people who were running this last election cycle, 2020, I mean 2022. And
Right.
so these guys, they do not have the American people as their best interest. And they're actually friends with the Democrats, the high up Democrats. The
Mm-hmm.
Pelosi and Mitch McConnell, they could literally be the same person,
Mm-hmm.
honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And they want us to get so focused on these little issues to them. They're big issues to us, like what's happening with our nation's children and abortion and all that stuff. Those are big issues to us. They don't care about those things. They don't care what side you are on those things, as long as they can further their weird globalist agendas, which are real, the World Economic Forum stuff and all of and that's new, the New World Order stuff that Bush talked about, that Biden
Bush
talked
Senior.
about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bush Senior, Bush Junior, and Biden.
Yeah.
And if you look into like secret societies and stuff, John Kerry, Bush, same secret society that they were in. So there's this like same team stuff going on, and then Trump comes in, and everybody hates him. That are all the people that I never really liked in the first place, and I have woken up to on Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
because I woke
For
up to
sure.
Obama, and I realized that dude just wants to get famous, and he actually will just continue to do whatever these globalist people tell him to do. I think, is he in on it or is he a puppet? I'm not sure, but I do know that he just furthered their agendas, right? So now Trump comes along and they hate him. And one of the first things he does is fights human trafficking. These people are into human trafficking. Joe Biden is into human trafficking. He's actually being investigated right now because of it. There's a
Yeah.
reason
Shout out
why
to
they
his
want
son.
there's a reason why they want the borders to be all open so it's easy to traffic humans. And Trump goes after human trafficking within the first 6 weeks he's in office,
Yeah.
like majorly. And that's where I was like, wow, okay. And then all these people are talking crap about him and saying he's like this awful dude right away when he hasn't even done anything. Like we knew
Right.
who he was as a public figure for 20 years, and they never said these things before. And now all of a sudden they're calling him a racist, white supremacist, blah, 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 all this stuff, and dictator, and he's going after human trafficking, and they completely bury that story. More human trafficking arrests than ever. I think it was something like 6,000.
Right.
And you don't hear those stories in the mainstream news. They're horrific. The
Mm-hmm.
human trafficking cases that you can hear them in local news. Like I was in Arizona, and if you listen to like Arizona news near the border, oh my gosh, it's scary stuff what's happening at our border right now.
Right.
You don't hear those in national news. They don't want to cover that stuff.
Build the
So, yeah,
wall.
exactly. Exactly. People hated that. But if you look a nation's sovereignty is so important. That's how you keep the spirit of a nation. And you have to, have boundaries. You can't just be like, anybody can come in. And that's why we have a fentanyl crisis right now.
Yeah.
And so it's this. So yeah, that's why I'm like, right now, I hate to say this, but I think national politics is done. I don't think we're going to have a clean election in 2024. I actually don't even think they're going to let Trump get on the ballot. I think they're going to block him from
You
getting on
think
the
the
ballot.
lawsuit is gonna
Oh, this whole investigation
take a
thing,
new
they're
shape?
trying to get him, because if you are federally in trouble, you cannot run for president. So if they can somehow get him federally in trouble, like put him, have a federal case against him or whatever it may be, get him guilty of something, even if they don't end up putting him in prison, he can't go on the ballot.
So here's and I have a little bit more to ask you on this, but I want to give a little bit of my opinion on the whole
Sure.
well, there's three things, I guess. There's the Russian hoax, which is I guess verifiably a hoax now.
Yes.
Right? It was a little murky before the rest of the information started to drop, but once it dropped, and luckily it dropped right when Twitter had already been taken over, and so it dropped and spread. Not the way that it should have, but it's close, right? Close.
Yeah.
We got to take the good with the bad. So that I think is just BS. And then the nuclear documents that could fall into the wrong hands if they sit in his basement or his closet, wherever.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Still no arrests.
Yeah.
And still ambiguity on the presidential, basically where the president can wave his hand and say, no, these are declassified now. There's a lot of ambiguity. I don't, I would feel a little silly saying that I think the law was written so that the president can just wave his hand at any time at all, anytime, but that the highest military seat does have something akin to that. I would say, well, that would make sense. Let's say in a perfect world, that makes perfect sense. We don't live in a perfect world, but I mean, that's documents, not actions. Not no, but documents. Come on, man. It's not the code, it's not the password, right? It's like documents. So no, and just the fact that there's no arrests on that so far, it smells like BS. And then the last thing is and I don't like it either, is the vaccine, the praise he gives himself over the vaccine. You know what I'm saying? This isn't a lawsuit, but this is why a lot of people got really excited when your governor, Ron DeSantis, was being shown in a presidential light or a potential presidential light, even though he didn't say anything himself about running. He's been making things happen in Florida, and they put him in this light on the news, and he is cool. I'll let you speak on him first, but the vaccine thing with Trump.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so for Ron, it's a myth that Ron DeSantis is like against the vaccine or didn't promote it, because he actually is really heavily funded by Publix. Publix is like the chain down here, and he did a whole like campaign with Publix to get it out to people. And he also said it was 0%. And we got to remember that a lot of these people, I was anti-vax like back in the day when my grandma died of a bunch of vaccines. She had to get a bunch of vaccines for a trip on the Panama Canal, and she died 2 weeks later because it activated her rheumatoid arthritis. It gave her crazy inflammation. Then she ended up taking this really strong arthritis drug, and that killed her. If she had not received that, because vaccines can cause inflammation in your body. If she had not received those, I mean, her arm was swollen. She was screaming in pain the day after she got the vaccines. So we've got to remember that most people in America did not have a negative light of vaccines. They thought vaccines are really great. And it's just recent that people are starting to wake up to that. And I think Trump was the same way. Because remember, Trump eats McDonald's. He's not like, I love that he doesn't drink, but he's not like the most health conscious granola crunching dude. And
100%.
Let's not forget that they said that the only way we were going to solve this pandemic, that we're going to get you released from letting your businesses reopen and all this stuff, is when we get a vaccine, especially these blue states. These blue states were holding the vaccine like a carrot. Like, we can't open up schools until we have the vaccine for our teachers. And I think I think that what he faced last year was harder than any president has had to face in the last, at least in my life.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. And then lastly, if he started distancing himself from that vaccine and saying, you know what, it was a mistake, they would blame every single death on him. You know how quickly that narrative would change, where they'd be like, oh, oops, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have warp speed the vaccine. It's all Trump's fault that people are dying from it. And then so not only would he be blamed for the deaths that happened when there wasn't a vaccine, but he'd be blamed for the vaccine deaths. I mean, he'd be blamed for everything. So I think that he's in a place where he kind of has to tiptoe. But if you look at his son, Don Jr., Donald Trump Jr., and also Trump has also mentioned that he thinks the booster is a hustle. So let's not forget that he thinks the booster is a hustle.
No, yeah. I don't know if it was Joy Reid, but somebody called him out for saying that.
Yeah. And so I think right now he has to just really censor himself on what he says about the vaccine, simply because during that time, if he had not developed it like he did quickly, they would have forcibly removed him from office and had someone else do it. So I'm not name another candidate that could be our president that didn't promote the vaccine. I don't know a single one. I don't know a single Republican that wasn't like, they all went and got the shot. And like I said, most people were not aware of the dangers of vaccines until this last 2 years. And I find it disingenuous that some of these influencers are like, I'm the first one to tell you about how bad vaccines are, when it's been happening for like, some of us have been warning people about it for a while. Like, you know.
Well, okay. So you've picked up a habit of taking many shots at Miss Owens.
Oh, recently, yeah.
But she said that a bunch of times. Like I think I've only heard her say that about at least about the COVID vaccine.
Well, I love her, but I do think that a lot of these people are changing with money. I hate to say that, but they're changing as they've become bigger, and they're just it's turning into more about like making sure you're getting your clicks and your follows and getting your money, and instead of like really sticking to the truth and having, just no matter what, being honest about what's going on in our country. And I saw that this last couple of weeks with the whole Trump DeSantis drama, when everyone was saying Trump's attacking DeSantis out of nowhere. Why is Trump doing that? And I'm like,
let me frame that real quick before we go into it, because I do want to hear your thoughts on that. But first, let me say I think the content creators are doing their job with a team, and just me personally, don't know if it's completely fair to say someone is changing via, into a money hungry kind of personality versus just maybe their job is changing and they don't. I don't think the truth matters less to, at least to the three people I like to listen to from the Daily Wire, which is Ben Shapiro, co-founder.
I can't stand Ben Shapiro. We're gonna have a
we're gonna
have a debate on that one.
Candace and Matt Walsh.
Sorry.
I respect. Anyway. So I think maybe
I think Ben Shapiro's controlled op. I'm just gonna put that out there, but we can do that on another. He's controlled op. So they're allowed to say certain things, but they can't go like they're controlled opposition. But yeah.
Oh, controlled opposition, not an op. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm about to unpill your red pill. I'm sorry.
No. It's. I mean, it is what it is. We're not. Nobody's supposed to agree 100%.
Oh, I agree. Yes.
So, ayo. What it do? And hopefully you know what time it is. For it is time for the expression of rhyme. That's right. It is now time for me, your host, Soul Expression, yours truly, to interject a rap verse into this episode. Pardon me. Speaking on, or that touches, one or more of the topics that my guest and I are engaged in at the time. And I really hope that you enjoy it. And I really hope that it doesn't make you mad. Check it out. They make us hate the founding fathers and the truth of who created all the values that the citizens and youth had used to make a land of useful movements, dedicated, fruitful views of how to lead a country free of tyranny and mutual destruction. How utterly unconstitutional, usual distractions from the youth, and you can bet your bottom dollar the economy was beautiful, handed to the left, destroyed by pharmaceutical entities that comprise our enemies and globalists with energy demands that create a Mandela effect in our memories, claiming fossil fuels emit carbon into the air, but get rid of carbon and the trees no longer there. It's time to save our children from the public school demons who perpetuate abuse and mutilation in their teaching, protected by the unions, overfunded by the leeches, perverting and politicizing lessons while they're meeting with the future of our nation. It's insane, and I lack the patience to turn away, man. Kamala Harris just praised the child abuser on the day they made gay marriage federally safe and invited drag queens to the celebration, solidifying what the truth seekers saying. Groomers target children on an international stage, plan to keep people enraged and running back to Satan. God, I pray you save man from blindness and willful sin before it's too late. Can we please get a sign or a message in the place, land the second coming of the Holy Christ and your grace, fam, because a world without God is without meaning. I'm thankful I've awakened, but today I'm still dreaming of better days and better ways to raise my offspring. Whatever it takes to create, this is my offering. And shout out to Kali for today's conversation. It inspired these lyrics I've thrown into rotation. So pass your favorite line around like it's a blunt and show them how we get down on the expression of love. You know we going back to your regularly scheduled programming. So anyway, let me frame this thing. So at I don't know if it was a rally or just a press conference or something, this nickname Ron DeSanctimonious gets thrown out, and then something is written, and then at another speech, something else is said out loud about Ron DeSantis, and basically he makes this playful threat. If you try to run, I'm gonna release. I got receipts. I'm gonna release some things that you've done to the public. Wait your basically saying to him, like, or at least how I would take it. Wait your turn. Wait a second. I'm owed something. Something was stolen from me. I'm owed my last couple years in the hot seat, and I need you to wait your turn. That's what it's felt like to me. And then not only did the Daily Wire, but also a bunch of YouTubers and TikTokers that are conservative said this guy, he's off the handle.
Yep, all at the same time.
All at the same time. And I mean, and I didn't know it didn't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? But he is more televised than a state governor. And so you living in Florida, you having an interest, and Joshua, shout out to Joshua, seem to have more of an inside scoop as to where these playful attacks are or were coming from. And I'd love for you to explain why he started doing that.
Well, for one, I think that people forget what primary season is like. I think there's a lot of fear happening right now. And so people are like freaking out. Oh my gosh, Trump's dividing us and blah, blah, blah. Primary season is never pretty. And all signs are showing that Ron's running. He just got a book deal with Rupert Murdoch. And that's like a multi-million-dollar book deal. And that only happens when you're going to be someone who's going to run for president. And he's also not, he could stop the rumors right now by saying, nah, I'm going to wait. I'm going to finish my 4 years as governor in Florida. I'm not running. But of course he has not said that. And then his people behind the scenes, I mean, all the signs are showing that he's going to run. A lot of the people that are behind the scenes working for him have, hinted at it. And again, he's hinted at it. And they're doing this juxtaposition of like Ron's the nice guy and Trump's like the unhinged attacking him. And Trump knows he's going to run. I hope everyone will apologize when Ron announces officially his campaign.
Apology?
Because he actually has
that.
He actually has a political action committee right now, and that's to raise money for his campaign as president. So he could squash this all right now. And primary season is never pretty. Like we're going to see some division amongst anyone who's going to run against Trump is going to divide the vote. That's just going to happen. And on top of that, like Trump is just not, he's just not the kind of guy to just be, especially right now, to be passive about it, because he does need to know who's on his side and who isn't. Because what happened to him for 4 years while he was president is there was a lot of snakes on his team, pretending to be on his team, even his own vice president, pretending to be on his team, and then turn around and slap him in the back in a major way, like to almost get him to be put in prison right now.
Mhm.
And so it's he has to be careful. And I think this was actually a strategic move on his part to just see who's on his side. And all these, and it's not even that bad of a nickname. I mean, come on, like it's kind of a
No, it
nice
was light.
nickname.
It was playful. It was, that's why I'm
Yeah,
trying to not just use the same words as the news, like
yeah,
saying attack and stuff blatantly. It's an attack because of how big you are, but it's not a
yeah.
real attack. Like you could say that in the barbershop and not get punched in the face.
And it
Okay.
was weird
Not
because it
a,
was like some of these influencers were talking about like the sky was falling, like it was the worst thing he's ever done. And we're literally sounding like CNN now about Trump. And so I don't know. I just, time will tell. I do not think that Trump will give us I don't think we're going to get another 4 years from Trump. I don't think they're going to let it happen. I
okay.
think what happened in the swing states this last 2022, what happened during 2020 election, they're not going to give that man another 4 years because he's so into exposing both sides. He doesn't play nice. He doesn't have boundaries. He can't be bought. And that's the thing about Ron DeSantis. He's got a ton of corporate funding. You got to look at his record when he was for 5 years as a congressman. People aren't even looking into his record. He does very much go along with whatever the establishment wants. He was not a splash making congressman. He wasn't like going, he was in Congress during Obama even and wasn't making a splash. And then all of a sudden he's a governor down here, did a great job. It's great things in Florida, but there were some governors that didn't shut down at all. They didn't shut down.
Do you think that it's possible, not to say that you're saying the opposite of this, but do you think that it's possible that maybe first of all, as he was getting older, and also as he started, as his family grew, and he started to see more and more of this downward spiral that American youth is being pulled and I'm just going to, excuse my frankness, by the Satanists down this downward trend, psychologically, spiritually, mentally, and physically even. I saw this TikTok, somebody said, if you go to the gym just for appearance reasons, you're fat phobic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But maybe he saw this. Do you think it's possible that maybe he saw this trend and hit a point where it's like, I've had enough? And I did vote for a couple things and I did back a couple things. And there was a tinge of such and such, but I was also biding my time. I was whatever, a young mind that, may be a little frightened and a little new to the playing field. And then he wasn't new anymore. He wasn't, maybe he hit a turning point and said, enough of this.
We'll see who backs him. I
Okay.
do. There's lots of rumblings that Paul Ryan and all the like Lincoln Project people, they all really love Ron DeSantis and are going to back him. He's never been someone to ruffle feathers in a way that gets the establishment GOP mad, which like what Trump does. I personally would not vote for him, and there's another reason why I wouldn't vote for him. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, and I don't really care. It's to the point where it's like I get so much hate for everything. I'm just like, oh, okay, what else? But he is a Catholic, and he's very hidden about his views. I don't know how Catholic he is. Biden's a Catholic too, and they are.
Biden is not a Catholic.
Yeah, I know, but he goes to mass every Sunday or whatever.
Right.
I don't know how devout DeSantis is, but we currently have a very woke pope who's going to push a climate change agenda, who's currently pushing it right now. And it includes a one world government. Yeah. And I don't know. I would like to know where DeSantis is on his alignment to like Catholic, like Vatican. I shouldn't say Catholic. Say Vatican ideals right now. And
Right.
I don't, if he's not going to be straightforward about his religion, because I think a religion is very important,
Mm-hmm.
like to know where people are at, because that's their like core beliefs, where
Mm-hmm.
he's at on that. Like, where does he stand? Because I know he's into climate change and he believes the science, and he's invested a lot of money into climate change stuff here in Florida. So is he going to do that as president and go along with all these like climate change agendas, like the Paris Accord and all that stuff? I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's crazy,
Because I know Trump's not into it. He got a lot of
hmm
flack for not being into it.
hmm Well, Trump's a money guy,
Hmm.
and he'll be like, okay, well, let me see where the money's coming from and going. Oh, okay, no, I can smell that from a mile away. Where
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis might not be, and the thing about him, Trump, is he can't be bought, but he can be fooled.
Yeah, he's too trusting. I know
You
someone who
know,
actually worked with him for 4 years and said that
Mhm.
I think he genuinely likes people.
He
I mean, I've been
genuinely
to the
likes
White
people.
House. I've been to the White House. I was
Yeah.
invited to the White House with Blexit and heard him speak. And it was like, he's just very welcoming and he likes people. Everyone who has met him, I've met a lot of people who have met him in person, like sat and ate with him. I don't think there's been a president like that in a long time where people can actually like break bread with him and he invites them to
Yeah.
like Mar-a-Lago. He likes people. And so and as a celebrity, he always liked people. He brushed,
Right.
and so I think that he has been too trusting. I think he thought he was going to come in and people were going to just be on his side and he was going to be a unifying voice, and it just did not work out.
hmm Now, I mean, and there's always multiple sides to any story, right? There's
Mhm.
obviously the Simpsons predicted his presidency a bunch of years back, and another show also did, that I don't remember if it was a cartoon or not, but
Yeah.
that he was chosen from the jump, and you can go down that rabbit. Some
Yeah,
people that follow
true.
me probably have been down that rabbit hole because that's where I started. That's why I still don't participate electorally right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, although if I see Trump and Carrie Lake team up, I might have to register to vote because I
Yeah.
like her. I
Yeah, I
fuck.
like her too. I like her too.
Um,
Yeah.
but the crazy thing about the green energy movement, which is again, like you said, going towards very intentionally without hiding anything. We need to be under a one world government and stuff like that. What's crazy is that the green energy movement is about electricity, right? Wind, solar, water, power, all of this power we call power, it's all electric. But electricity is only like 30%. It's not the bulk of what we use and what we need to be powered, right?
Hmm.
The bulk of that is fossil fuels, gas, and what would be nuclear energy.
Hmm.
But the solar and the wind and the water and possibly geothermal energies, they're all pretty much about the electric side, which how does electric work? Works in grids,
Hmm.
right? That's why
Hmm.
people that got tiny houses, they say we were off the grid. They got the tiny house with the solar panel
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
basically direct control, which is why the cars, they want everybody to have a fully electric car and all of it. The direct control of your movement would now be subject to a socialist communist regime.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? If you're
Hmm.
all on the same grid
Yep. Oh
and
yeah, it's just a
only
switch.
only the
No
state
more,
has
no more of this getting your propane and being able to just live
to just
off the grid.
go places. You remember?
Yeah,
Have you
exactly.
seen iRobot? You remember iRobot, Will Smith,
Yes.
back in the day?
Yes.
And he had that
Uh-huh.
motorcycle, and she was like, "Don't you know gas explodes?" Like, yeah, lady. Well, this is how we get around today.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But it's crazy, and it's man, it's like if you opened your eyes, you would be able to see, okay, green movement, big pharma, and green energy movement. Excuse me, green energy movement. I'm not shitting on the environmentalists that are
Yeah.
actual scientists,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
green energy movement, the the food, the meat packing industries and dairy packing industries, and the second one that I named. Can you help me? The second one. I said that after green energy, and it left me. They're all going towards a new world order. Is the point? But
Yep.
I want to
Yep.
remember what all three of them are. It's the green. the food and the something else, they're all going to that same place. Oh, and just the anti-American, anti-history, right?
Yeah.
Hate
Yeah.
everybody who's a historical figure because they did one thing wrong
Yep.
in their past, right?
Yep.
I remember when this whole stuff started in like, well, for me, started around me in like 2017, 2018, and people were shitting on Martin Luther King Jr. because he, was friendly with the ladies.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, all right, okay, man, but dude, like, really? Is this like,
Yeah.
what are
Yep.
you focused on?
I know. Exactly. Exactly.
Like, okay, yes, that if you were his girl, that would hurt really
Yeah.
bad.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give
Yeah.
you, it's a bad decision to be doing that, but I mean, have you been under his amount of pressure? Would you not succumb to a vice of some kind?
Yeah.
He didn't
Yeah.
start drinking and started, really beating on people. He was friendly. He was extra
Yep.
friendly,
Yep.
and
Yep.
his religion said not to do that, and he did it anyway. Okay, all right. Well, what can you do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, can you
Yeah.
organize what he organized
Exactly. Exactly.
and run 24-hour
I
day
think that's
shifts
exactly how I
for the
feel
movement?
about that's exactly how I feel about, and I don't mean to like, I love I love my conservative family. I really do. I've met them. I love them. But I am getting really tired, and I hate to say this, but I'm getting really tired of just the complaining for money thing and acting like you are so critical of Trump when you haven't done a minuscule amount of stuff that's good for this country as he has. And I think that is just, it's just becoming this toxic cycle
Hmm.
that is not really helping anything except
Hmm.
pocketbooks.
Right.
And I think we all need to be more active. I want to see some of them start to run. I opened my own school, but I'm not planning, if I once I start making like really good money, and I hold me to this, but do
Hmm.
not let me just be someone who's just sitting there complaining and not actually doing any action to
Hmm.
make sure we're healing this country, because
Word.
that's just not something I want to be, and that's just too negative too, for one.
Right.
But I think it's time. I think it's time we start holding more of our side accountable to not just be complainers, but actually take action.
100% behind you
Mhm.
on that. And God willing, we're still friends at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or maybe colleagues, because I want to come work with you. I told you a
Yes.
bunch of times already. I'm ready. What time?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Love to have you,
Um,
man.
but yeah, so, well, look, so that's all the talking points that I had prepared for today. Is there anything specific you wanna bounce off of me, or you want to close this out for today? This is really
And I just think people need to stay vigilant. I think that, no matter what, I think everyone has their like favorite person they're listening to right now. And I even have some people that are like, you're my favorite. And I'm just like, no, just make sure the person you're listening to that's your favorite is God. Like, just
mm,
make sure that you are getting, test everything. No one is perfect. Someone's going to say something that pisses you off. Also, be nice to them. It doesn't mean you need to just cancel them. I'm seeing a lot of
yeah,
people that are not liking what some of these influencers are saying and being like, I'm canceling her. I'm not listening. I'm not listening to him again. And it's like, no, give him some time. Like, when Ron DeSantis, when he announces he's going to run, people are going to be like, oh, okay, I see now why Trump was calling him out or whatever. So it's like, we just need to be merciful for one, but
right.
stay pushing the truth, listen to God, don't trust men, but still love them and support them and pray for them to keep coming to the truth.
100%, man.
Yes.
God, so yeah, canceling. We can't turn into the left.
Yes, exactly.
Can't
Exactly.
turn into the left. Some
Yeah.
people need to be canceled, right?
Yeah.
But like we can cancel Mitch McConnell,
Yeah. True.
but but there's we cannot become the enemy we wish to defeat, because
Yeah.
then we'll only be defeating ourselves and imploding from the inside out. But we would be doing it without owning 80 to 90% of the mainstream media. We would be doing
Yeah.
without owning the academic elite, that space, the academic elite, without owning the FBI. So we really can't become them. You
Yeah.
know?
No, we can't.
And
We can't.
when it comes to getting God in your life, there's actually some lyrics that I wrote that I want to share with you, because I'm becoming more and more religious, not spiritual.
Mm.
I've been spiritual for over a decade, but
Mhm.
and I've never been fake in that,
Yeah.
but I didn't have the masculine of it. I didn't have the structure. I didn't have a clear understanding. And now I'm rebuilding my relationship with God,
Mm.
in a way. And I'm gonna share these lyrics with you because you mentioned God, and this is why I love you, Kali. But check this out. We in a fight to save the children from the validation they get from gathering a following and saturating the social media with pornographic recreation that creates the stagnation of that child's maturation and leads
Mm.
to an addiction to the act of masturbation, abuse of the
Mm.
dopamine system, and a mass invasion of
Mhm.
propaganda and slander upon the name of God. And they're
Mhm.
attacking babies' innocence and blaming God. Trust and
Mm.
believe it's possible to be saved in God, but the way they make you love yourself will have you hating God through
Oh.
ignorance. So don't listen when they tell you to turn away from God. Study the ways of goodness and wisdom, and pray for God to wash away the sinful thoughts in your mind, and work daily to leave your losses behind. Pick up your cross and resign.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. That
And
is,
that's where I'm at right now.
yeah. I think your awakening is, and that's the same with me. Like my awakening, Obama came with my getting closer to the Lord. Like just he actually, and this is a whole nother conversation if we ever want to go there. But I've definitely know that there's angels and demons, and there's supernatural world at work right now in this room, it right now, and we have to make sure that we are just. But God is so good. Like God is a good God, and He's taking care of us and loves us. So I love that.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely. Where first, how do people connect with Exodus Institute? One more time. Spell it out
okay,
nice and
yeah.
easy.
Thinkexodus.org. Just go to thinkexodus.org, and then you can find me on social media and all of that. Just remember though, the people's social media is not, it's a part of who they are. It's not all of who they are. So we got to remember that with just knowing people through the screen. There's something that's missing when you don't have people in person, and you'll hear the intention behind a lot of this stuff. So I
Yeah,
think we just remember to have mercy on people right now.
absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much for coming back through the Expression
Yes.
of Love podcast. It's always great to talk to you, man.
Expressions of love.